How to create wealth without capital. This is coming from an individual whose country is ranked third globally, and from the crummiest part of society is where I used to reside. So a third world country, in a third world place, a third world individual, yet I was still able to create wealth as well as multiply. They are two different things. Creation is the easiest part. The multiplication as well as the retainment factor is where it gets tricky. Even the Bible says strong men retain wealth. It takes a level of dexterity, discipline, a level of high understanding, high frequency of mental transformation in order to retain wealth. Let's not go ahead of myself. I give you all this credibility because I truly believe that very few people have the requisite level of experience to teach on this subject. Your result in any sphere is what gives you authority to address matters. Would you take gym advice from a fat lady? Exactly. And you humans defer to professionals. So the same advice Buffett gives, which is $100 dollar cost average into the S&P 500 index before retirement age, you will become a millionaire. Every single person is taking notes. The exact same thing said by a college professor. Nobody gives a shit because it's broke. The advice sometimes is not what counts. It's the person dispensing that advice. I read the book of Ecclesiastes. It's one of the books in the Bible Solomon wrote as a fallen man. He said, there resided a poor wise man. A very shocking revelation. It's almost like an oxymoron. These are two things that never coincide, poor and wise, because wealth is a product of wisdom. So poor wise man, and by his wisdom he saved the city from ruin. And after everything, after the city prevailed, they forgot him. The conclusion, the wisdom of a poor man is despised. Now the moral of that story is, if you do not have the requisite level of result to back up your claims, it's most likely you're not going to achieve. Now this might sound counterintuitive. Yes, the Bible also creates a platform. It says, though thy beginning shall be small, thy later end shall greatly increase. But it's so nuanced, I do not want to start balancing and introducing a lot of variation in this subject. So see it through the context of a beginner. Creating wealth without capital. Prior to now, I always knew what I would do. Prior to now, I had this business idea of which I would do. Instead of taking that business idea to Shark Tank or requesting funds from a venture capitalist, I decided to raise the fund myself. I believed in this company so much. Selling percentage in exchange for dollars would hurt me, which then began my study on how to create capital, on how to generate wealth without capital. What can I offer? It might come to you like word of knowledge, like prophecy. Go get a job. Unfortunately, like I said, this is a third world country, in a third world place. There are no premier establishments like McDonald's or Starbucks or one of these establishments who will pay $7 an hour. My friend, if you build that kind of establishment in this country, Over time, within matter of days, they would have to reduce the wage. You know why? Exactly. The higher the supply, the lesser the demand. And you wonder why Africans or black people take all your wealth, multiply as much as possible when they come into your country. Because what you see as norm, the black man sees as privilege. And anything gotten for free is generally unappreciated. So your reality is someone else's prayer point. You see black people who endure untold amount of hardship, walk through the desert, go through ship, smuggle through various unsettling sources in an attempt for greener pasture, in something you wake up and curse every single day. Next time before you conceive a suicidal thought, I want you to work in the consciousness. Your current level is someone else's prayer point. This is not to inspire complacency. This is not to quell your desire to achieve. But to reinforce contentment as a lifestyle. Contentment while being challenged to seek for higher dimensions. But that's not the discourse of today. We are here to talk about how to generate wealth without capital. The first is value, offering value. At the infancy of my career, when I understood how to get money on the business I would engage, the various forms of investment, and how I would diversify the investment process, one of the things lacking was capital. Capital to start those business, capital to create the chain reaction of events that will produce untold amounts of money. I speculated at the time. How do I generate capital in a country where there's little to no establishment? There are very few things you can do, especially in the crummy part of society. It's not as though you can walk up to someone's door and request to mow their lawn or become a babysitter. The kind of relationship you need to get a job overseas, where you have to know someone and they will call in a favor, is the exact same relationship you need in order to get those petty jobs. So for someone like you, that was not a luxury, that was not an option. I had to devise various means in order to achieve this goal. Now I want you to pay attention very carefully. For someone, you prayed last night and God sent you this video. This video is literally your answered prayer. It will take dedication, attention, and the determination to see your results materialize. Listen very carefully. Because a huge percentile has grounded their destiny, grounded every single thing due to the absence of capital. Some people even find solace. This has become their alibi as touching why they are unsuccessful. Majority give excuses from dawn to dusk of why they are not successful. The absence of capital, chiefest amongst all. I'm about to give you a solution how to generate capital in order to fund any venture, how to generate capital to start building wealth. The first one is value. Value is a very big concept. It's one concept a huge percentile of people, especially on the internet space, grossly understand. Everybody is just watching everybody's content, distilling with personal anecdotes, shoving it to the public. They are very few unique teachings such as this one. So you are very lucky in that regard, because if I had a multi-millionaire telling me exactly what to do, the teaching alone would expedite my journey. Perhaps I would have been in favorable circumstances. Not to bemoan the situation, because the path to success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Where you stop, you pass on the baton. But the point I'm trying to highlight as touching value is to find something you're unique. Find a skill, a talent you excel at. If that's something you find difficult to identify, I did a playlist on how to discover your purpose, identifying your unique gifting. So after this video, go check it out. It's a 3-part series on how to discover your purpose, how to identify the various struggles, as well as finishing, actualizing your purpose. It was an awesome time throughout that playlist. Find something you excel at. Find a skill. Look for how to be a contributor in providing value. For instance, at the infancy of my career, I understood I lived a very unique life. My life wasn't a situation where I was addicted to drugs. I always had my life in order. As trivial as that sounds, majority of people pay. Majority of people will give anything in order to restore tranquility to their life. A skill I identified at that time, you find the skill and look for a way to monetize that platform in order to generate wealth, in order to generate capital, which is what majority of you need to understand. You trivialize your skill, you trivialize your talent because it's so habitual, like the case of living a very interesting life. It's so habitual. It's kind of like common sense in order to live a tranquil life, such that you are oblivious to the untapped gold mine you sit upon. The second one is productivity. Productivity is different from value. Productivity is not just hard work. Productivity is discovering your talent, refining that talent to targeted consumer base. For as long as your talent is not rewardable, you would never be wealthy. If all you've gotten so far are just commendation, then you are not there. Keep refining your talent. Keep refining your talent. This is the answer to the question, why is it that I am gifted? I can sing, I can draw, I can do XYZ, yet I'm still poor. The answer to that question is you've not introduced productivity to the equation. Productivity is branding your value. Branding your value. This has nothing to do with fake life or a life of falsehood. Every single day, customers, your food tastes well, you have a very nice voice, your meal tastes well. For as long as you keep serving that value in that manner, all you would receive are commendation. But once you sit down and go behind, package that meal, give it to the general overseer or some CEO, some top guy. You prepare this. How long have you been doing this? All my life. You know what? I need 100 parts of this meal. What's the difference? If I walk to a source and put water inside sachets, bring it to you, you might feel insulted at that gesture. Yet, someone would refine that same water, bottle it up, and you can pay as much as $3, $4, $5 in order to get access to the same water. Question: what is the difference between the sachet water, the water presented in sachet, and the one bottled up? Packaging your value. Majority of you are speakers. You can speak as good as what? What is the level of your vocabulary? How well can you connect metaphors to your sentence? Are you bold? Have you introduced the ability to speak in the midst of kings, queens, without feeling intimidated? Have you gotten over the idea of identity crisis? Do you still worry of how people perceive you? All of these are variables attached to the branding equation. For as long as you keep operating in the raw dimension of your potential, there are little to no reward. In fact, at best, you will get commendation. At best, in order to get rewards, you need to refine, you need to brand, become productive with your value. This is the solution behind the anger we have in this generation. You see a man today, you see someone offering a service you know you can provide equally or better than, yet your financial status are vastly apart. Why is this the case? Because of this law I shared. Refine your value. Refine your value. Become productive. Become productive with your value, and you refine. For the sake of time, we'll keep it here. As always, my friend, it's a pleasure speaking to you. See you in the next one.